Hello everyone, Sharpedo43 once again bringing you all week 1 of the PMU. In this battle we're going to be facing Oddsar and the Memphis Bewears, and as you can see this battle is actually going to be done with post commentary as opposed to live commentary. Reason being is just because at the time of recording this, or at least attempt at recording this, there were some technical issues going with my recording software, and I wasn't able to find out what the problem was because I didn't really have a lot of time. I was trying to record at the very moment that the battle was about to start, so there was just no time for me to find out what the problems were, so I just had to basically save the replay and actually just record it later and do it with post commentary, obviously. So yeah, so but you know what the annoying thing was, that after the battle was finished, it was then when I found out what the problem was, and I was just like, wow, really? And now I have to actually I guess post narrate this battle that's, by the way, pretty dang long. It's because this battle was actually really rough for me. Like, I had a really rough start this season. So, well, not the season, but you know, like, I had a rough start in this battle, yeah, to start the season. Because, I mean, I don't know, it's because I got kind of stressed out by the recordings, by trying to record this and not being able to at the same time because of the technical difficulties. So yeah, but I said we were going up against Oddsar, right? I think we did. Yeah, so these are the teams that we brought. The biggest thing that's scary on this guy's team is the Mega Pinsir, because even though I have Skarmory, if that Mega Pinsir sets up to like +2 or even +4 and has the close combat move, he can actually like basically destroy everything on my team. The only thing he cannot handle is Aerodactyl, but he does have other things that can handle Aerodactyl pretty well, such as Tentacruel and maybe even Florges. Oh, and definitely the Hippowdon, so it's going to be kind of annoying to deal with. There's also Latias, which can also set up, and it usually can carry the Bolt Beam coverage, which means it can actually answer Skarmory and also Aerodactyl, and it can also handle Zygarde if it has Ice Beam, obviously. Oh yeah, and it also has Thunderbolt for Slowking. Like, the Latias can be the Latios can be a threat actually, because just the Bolt Beam coverage alone is enough for it to handle this team that I brought. I mean, I could have brought things that actually can deal with Bolt Beam pretty well, such as what's it called, Lantern, but I didn't think I'd need it that much. And plus, with that Mega Pinsir coming around, I felt like I needed things that can actually wall it to death, such as Skarmory and Fortress, and to an extent even Aerodactyl, because Aerodactyl can outspeed the Mega Pinsir and hit it with a Rock type move, even if it has Quick Attack. Like, I can still probably either do a lot of damage and take it out, or just take it out straight up. So, because, you know, it's X4 weak to rocks and whatnot. So yeah, but anyways, that's just the gist of it all. But here goes. This battle was really long actually, so we're gonna see what happens in this battle. He's gonna lead off with Latios, and I'm gonna lead off with Slowking. As you can see, right out of the gate, he goes for exactly what I was fearing, the Calm Mind. There's not a whole lot Slowking can do in this situation. Nonetheless, I decided to go for the Ice Beam here just to see if he has Substitute, because I was afraid of this thing having Thunderbolt, and there was a chance I might have wanted to switch out before going for Ice Beam, but I was afraid of Substitute at the same time, so I went for Ice Beam instead. Now here I'm going to actually switch into Skarmory, and he's actually going to go for the Thunderbolt. Now here, I was actually this was a bad play, because I was actually being hopeful and just kind of hoping he'd be of the Dual Stab variety, and actually only have Psyshock and Draco Meteor, or even Dragon Pulse, but he actually did have Thunderbolt, so I was fearing it at first with Slowking, but then I was thinking, what if he doesn't have it? But he did have it, unfortunately. So now here, I switched in Zygarde, which was risky because he could still have Ice Beam as well. But I was kind of hoping that he'd actually think I'm Scarfed and would try to go for Outrage. Instead, I just go for the Glare. Thankfully, he did switch out though, because if he actually switched up his move to Ice Beam, this Zygarde would have probably been gone, and I would not have been able to do much with it. And let me just tell you that this Zygarde could actually do wonders in this battle if I get the right matchups, basically. But anyways, I switch out right here after going for Glare on the Hippowdon. I switch in the Fortress, and he does get paralyzed, so I don't know what exactly he was trying to go for. Nonetheless, I try to get my rocks up here because looking at his team, a lot of his team is actually weak to rocks and doesn't like appreciate the hazards in general. So now here I decided to stay in because I was kind of afraid of him going for U-turn here, predicting me to switch into Slowking, and because I'm a Psychic type on Slowking, I actually take super effective damage from U-turn, so I didn't want to switch out. I was hoping he'd overpredict and go for U-turn, but he actually made the right play and went for Flare Blitz. Fortunately for me though, nonetheless, he does take recoil damage, and now I get to Volt Switch, and then he's gonna also take the Sandstorm damage as well because Hippowdon and whatnot. So I am crippling this Darmanitan pretty effectively already, which is actually really good because this thing is actually quite threatening. And since these Darmanitans are typically choiced, I was confident in sending in Slowking right here. Even if he wasn't choiced and turned out to switch it up to U-turn, I could still switch out Slowking and get Regenerator back anyway, so I didn't really lose much sending in Slowking here. He's gonna send in the Florges now, and I go for Scald. I think I wanted to go for Ice Beam, predicting possibly the Latios to come in, but I decided Scald was better since it hits a lot of his team really hard with Latios being the only resistance, but I do have Ice Beam, so I don't think he would want to straight up switch that in. But here I go for Psyshock just to see what he does. He went for Moonblast, as you can see, and thankfully he didn't get the special attack drop, and this actually does nothing to my Slowking, the Moonblast, because I believe the Slowking was actually Assault Vested. Yeah, I think it was Assault Vested. He goes for Wish right here though, and I'm going to go for another Scald once again, and I think here's where I actually get the burn. No, it was the other one. It's because I know somewhere around here I actually get the burn. But I get more damage. He does go for Protect. I wanted to see if he was actually a Wish Protecting variant, or was he just going to Wish Pass into something. But he actually just stays in and protects and takes the recovery for himself, basically. So I think here is where I go for another Skull, and I think it's around here where I actually get that burn, so yeah. He's going to go for Aromatherapy though, which does take away the glare from Hippowdon, which is not that big of a deal since glaring or paralyzing the Hippowdon wasn't really a priority to me in the first place. So it doesn't really matter to me, basically. So yeah, and I just go for Scald, and I don't get the burn again, so I was kind of like, damn. I'm not looking too lucky with these Scald burns, honestly. So he's just gonna go for another Moonblast, and I'm gonna go for Scald for the 4th time now, I think. And this time, I'm not gonna get the burn once again because, jeez, I'm just not lucky with these Scalds, I tells you. Somewhere around here I get that burn though, that's for certain. I'm not dumb. I know somewhere around here I get that burn. Okay, I think it's here this time. I think this is like the 5th Scald now. Finally get the burn. Jeez. But yeah, I get the burn, and I think here's where I think I just keep going for Scald. Oh no, I switch out actually, and I think I go into Aerodactyl. Yeah, here. I think I was hoping he'd go for Wish here, or Protect. I think it was Protect, I don't remember. Well, he did go for Protect, but I think I was predicting the Protect, because I forgot if he went for Wish or not. Either Wish or Protect, either way, I was still predicting him not to attack me, and that's kind of what he does. And I go for the Rock Slide right here, because I am a Life Orb variant. I wanted to see if I can do damage to Florges, and it does. Now here, unfortunately, I do make a bit of a misplay. I actually over-predict him to switch into Hippowdon here, and since he got the Aromatherapy off, I was thinking of going for Toxic here to poison the Hippowdon, but he ends up staying in, willing to let his Florges go down to another Rock Slide. So unfortunately, that was a bad play on my end, and I end up losing Aerodactyl for it. Had I just gone for another Rock Slide, I was gonna take out this Florges for sure, but unfortunately, I was afraid of his Hippowdon coming in, since it's an easy switch in for Hippowdon. Like, he can easily switch that in on Aerodactyl. But maybe he was fearing something like Ice Fang or Aqua Tail or something. I don't know. Maybe that's why he didn't want to switch it in. But yeah, I did make a misplay there. Now here I made another risky play in sending in Pangoro and just going for knockoff, hoping that this Florges doesn't end up outspeeding me, since I do have this Pangoro well speed invested. But if it's like a speed variant, then it would have taken me out right here. But thankfully it didn't, and I was able to take out the Florges with a knockoff. Now here he sends in this Tentacruel, which also goes down to a knockoff. The reason why he even brought this in was just to rapid spin the rocks away, which I guess is good and bad. But I get to take out another Mon, which is really good. So I think I have an advantage here so far. I think I have a lead right here, I think. But a lot of my Mons are weakened at this point, so anything can really go down right now, actually. I'm going to switch into Zygarde right here, though, because I was afraid of him sending up to +2. And I think this Zygarde was max defensive and can take at least I think he could take a +2 stab return. I think I could be wrong. If not, this could have probably been the whole game. I don't know. But he ends up going for return anyways. He doesn't end up going for the Swords Dance. My plan here was just to go for the Glare and then maybe Dragon Tail if he ends up getting paralyzed or something. Because I wanted to slow this thing down, since this thing is actually quite faster than a lot of my team. Especially now that I lost the the Aerodactyl, which was my answer to Mega Pinsir along with Skarmory. But again, if it has close combat, it can answer Skarmory at +2, so yeah. But here, he's going to switch into Hippowdon once again, and I get the Glare off once again on this Hippowdon, which is one of the biggest reasons why it didn't matter to me that he went for Aromatherapy with Florges earlier, was because I kind of felt like I was going to get this back anyway. Because, I mean, he kind of been switching around the Hippowdon into my Zygarde a lot, so yeah. But here, I switch into Skarmory, and he does get paralyzed again. This paralysis might have mattered depending on what he went for. If he went something for, like, Stealth Rocks or something, or even, like, Earthquake, I would not have taken any damage. But here I decided to take advantage of going for Roost, even if he switches into Darmanitan, because I did want to keep this Skarmory healthy, since I do kind of need it for the Mega Pinsir. Here he actually does go for the Stealth Rocks, and he's going to switch into Darmanitan now. And I actually go for another Roost. I was actually going to go for Rocks of my own, but I really wanted to keep this Skarmory healthy for that Mega Pinsir. Because otherwise, then Mega Pinsir most likely cleans up, seeing how weak my entire team is. Now here, I'm going to switch out, and I'm actually going to use Fortress as death fodder, since this thing doesn't have reliable recovery. So I figured sacking it right now is probably the appropriate thing to do, especially since he has his Rocks up. I didn't want to send something in, take hazards, and then take that Flare Blitz that was incoming. So, yeah. Now here, I'm going to send in Zygarde once again, and I think here is where I decide to go for Glare, and then I believe Substitute. I could be wrong, though. But I do think that's what I go for on the Darmanitan. Reason being is just because what I wanted to do was slow it down, for one thing, and if he gets paralyzed, be behind a Substitute so that I can take it out, and then I can actually handle his Latios, because the Latios was what I was particularly afraid of, since even if it doesn't have Ice Beam, it could still have Dragon Pulse or Draco Meteor, which would be enough to take out my Zygarde, obviously, because Dragon type moves are super effective against Zygarde, because Zygarde's a Dragon type. So, but yeah, here I go for the Substitute now, and I believe he got a crit here, which pretty much caused it to break. And yeah, that was kind of a big deal, because I think my Zygarde would have probably been healthy enough to take another return from Mega Pinsir. But yeah, so that crit will kind of force me to go for another Substitute right here. And as you can see, he's going to go for another Flare Blitz, because he's not going to get paralyzed again. And surprisingly enough, or maybe not surprisingly enough, who knows, he ends up not breaking the Substitute, which was what I was hoping for in the first place. And now I can just finish this thing off with an Earthquake, and now I can actually see what he wants to bring in. If he brings in Latios, I can probably just get some damage off with Dragon Tail, because that's the only thing I can really hit the Latios with. Or I can hit it with a Glare too, so I can slow it down, because again, Latios is a little too fast, honestly, for my team. Especially after Aerodactyl went down. I didn't have Mega Lopunny on this team because he had Mega Pinsir, which can easily quick attack Mega Lopunny, especially after setting up. So I didn't bring that. So the only fast mon that I really had was Aerodactyl. Everything else is really, really slow. So here I go for Earthquake just to get some damage on this Hippowdon. I wanted to see if he can break my Substitute with Ice Fang, like he would probably reveal it here, but he ends up going for Whirlwind instead. Pretty much phasing me into something random. He ends up phasing me into Sulking, which was probably the best thing that could have happened here. And here I think I'm actually just free to go for Scald. Well, actually not really, because he still has Latios to switch in. In fact, I do go for Scald right here. I was debating as to whether or not I wanted to go for Ice Beam, but I did want to get as much damage and probably even take this thing out if he so happened to stay in. But unfortunately for me, he actually ends up not staying in, and he actually ends up switching into Latios, predicting the Scald. Because he already knows that I have Ice Beam, so he definitely was predicting the Scald here. And I do get a little bit of damage, and I thankfully get the burn, which is actually going to be useful for me, because right now the Sandstorm is up and taking burn damage in the process, and he's not leftovers. I should be able to take this thing out like before it gets to set up anything. However, he is going to recover spam me right here, just because he wants to see if he can actually take Ice Beams as well as the Sandstorm damage and burn damage, and stall out the Sandstorm so that the Sandstorm stops chipping him down like it is right now. And yeah. So yeah, here I think he does this like for another turn. I think he does this one more time. He recovers again here, and I go for Ice Beam, and as you can see, it's not doing as much as it could have. It's not recovering as much as I'm doing damage to. So as a result, he ends up just staying in, going for Thunderbolt, and I just go for the Ice Beam just to take it out. I was gonna switch out to get more Regenerator HP back on Slowking, but I was thinking, what if he stays in and just goes for another attack? And that's exactly what he did. Thankfully, he did not just go for another, thankfully I did not switch out, because I wanted to just take out that Latios, because that Latios was looking pretty threatening. However, here comes this Mega Pinsir, and I send in Zygarde just for Death Fodder to see if he goes for Return again. But this time he does actually go for the Swords Dance on my switch in, And here I just click Glare just to see if he tries to get greedy and set up on me again. He does not. He just takes out my Zygarde here with a return. And I think it's around here where I think I sent in Skarmory. I don't remember actually. I think I sent in Skarmory. But yeah, Zygarde goes down here because it's a +2 and it's already weakened. Even if it wasn't at +2, it would still take me out. But now here, yeah, I sent in the Skarmory right here. And I believe I go for the Whirlwind rather than the Brave Bird because I was afraid of him trying to set up another Swords Dance on the off chance he did not have close combat here. So I went for Whirlwind just to see what would happen. Not to mention, right now, notice how the Sandstorm is not out yet. But now that I brought this in, now it's back. So now what I can do here is actually bring back the Mega Pinsir with another Whirlwind. And actually have him take some chip damage with the Sandstorm. This wasn't actually like thought out at the time. I just phased him in because I was afraid of the +4. And if he didn't have close combat, I could have walled this thing as soon as I get rid of his +4. But here is where he decides to go for Swords Dance again after bringing in the Mega Pinsir back. And I go for the Brave Bird now just to get the damage that I need. I do believe the Skarmory is Rocky Helmet too because I was afraid of this thing trying to set up and just taking me out straight up. And I wanted to at least punish it for attacking me physically and taking Rocky Helmet damage in the process. And this was actually really, really useful, as well as the Sandstorm damage that I got from phasing in Hippowdon. Because as you can see here, at +2, it was definitely enough to take out my Skarmory. And I am going to go down, sure, but he's going to take Rocky Helmet damage here. And then here, the Sandstorm, thanks to the fact that I phased in Hippowdon, is now going to also take out the Mega Pinsir, which was a huge reliever because honestly, if I didn't phase in Hippowdon there, I could have probably lost this. Honestly, this Pinsir would have probably cleaned up actually. Yeah, because this Slowking was not going to survive a return from Mega Pinsir. But now here, I just send in Slowking just to finish it off right here. Just go for Scald. Surprisingly, did not take out this Hippowdon, despite I think the Slowking was modest, so and max special attack, so I was surprised that it didn't take it out. Here he goes for Earthquake. I thought this would take out my Slowking, but it actually didn't. So I get a chance to take it out with Slowking. I thought I would actually end up finishing the match with Pangoro, but thankfully not. I can actually win this battle 2-0, which was pretty good, despite a lot of the bad plays that I made actually, because damn, there was a lot of bad plays here that I made. So many mispredictions and overcommitments in other areas. Like, for example, in turn 1, I was kind of hoping that his Latios wouldn't have Thunderbolt, and bam, he had Thunderbolt. So boom, I was already I put myself at a disadvantage because of it. Then there was also the staying in with, or actually over predicting with Aerodactyl, going for Toxic on the Florges. When I was predicting a switch, he ended up not switching out, and he ends up taking out my Aerodactyl when I could have taken out his Florges with Aerodactyl. So yeah, and I think, let's see, was there any other misplay that I made? Nah, I don't think so. Maybe staying in with Fortress on the Darmanitan, but at the same time I didn't really have a lot of switch-ins for Darmanitan, so maybe it was an okay play, I guess, to say the least. There was, like, I didn't feel I played this match very, very well, honestly, and I think it was thanks to Zygarde with those glaring tactics that I was actually able to kind of bring this battle back into my favor. But even then, Odds definitely still had a chance to win with that Mega Pinsir. I think had he made the right place, because I think he supposedly didn't make the right place somewhere in here. I forgot where that was, but honestly, I'm not complaining. We take those anyway. Like, whether or not he made the mispredictions or not, it's like, we take those, honestly. But yeah, that's going to be the whole game. GG's to Oddsart. I think that was actually a pretty interesting game, to say the least, because honestly, I didn't feel like I played very well, but nonetheless, I was able to still win the battle, despite all odds. Get it? But yeah, so yeah, hopefully after this battle now, like all the other battles that I get from this league are gonna be live recorded. So I already have a few ready right now, so hopefully we can keep that going and not have to repeat this again. But with all that said, thank you all for watching once again. Week 4 of the PMU. Stay tuned for week 2 whenever we get to it. For now, just take it easy and have yourselves a damn good one.